I want to talk to you a little bit about the secrets to leadership, and they shouldn't be that secret. But believe it or not, there are a lot of people that don't truly understand what leadership is. And if you're going to be part of the strategic planning, you're going to be part of the tactics, you're going to have to understand what some of these leadership characteristics are. And the first you've heard of, and this is so true, and many of you already are implementing this, lead by example, right? Lead by example, meaning that walk the walk. If you're going to talk it, walk the walk, right? Make sure that you walk the talk. Don't be one of those individuals that just talks the talk. We need to walk the walk, right? And that's going to help to build trust. I had the luxury of interviewing a bunch of different CEOs over the course of my life, and trust is one of the biggest components in terms of being able to lead. Why? Because when people trust you, they do the work the right way. That's the key. When they trust you, they do the work the right way. Number 3, don't ask anyone to do anything you wouldn't do yourself. Now, you might not have that skill set, but that doesn't mean that you wouldn't have done it if you could, right? So don't ask anyone to do anything you wouldn't do yourself. They need to know that, and that's part of that trust relationship. Start at the bottom, okay? When you start at the bottom, you're going to bring in all of your sweat equity, and you're going to negotiate better. You're going to actually use this as leverage, and you're going to understand the organization in its entirety, right? You're going to have to start at the bottom oftentimes when it comes to leadership. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to go back in time. Let's say that you were brought into the company and you're all of a sudden at this level and you never started at the bottom. What you might need to do is develop relationships with people at the bottom. Start at the bottom means that you're going to have to start talking to people. Let me give you an example. I invested into a company one time, and I didn't have any management say. I didn't have any role or responsibility. I was purely an investor. But I wanted to understand the mechanics of the organization. I wanted to understand also how good the organization really truly was at what they said they were doing. I started with the janitor, and I started talking to the janitors, and I started asking them, how busy are you? How are things coming? How are things going? I got more of a real idea how good the company actually was doing by speaking to the janitor, and then started to move my way up into the people that were on the assembly line. How busy are you? How many products are we making? How often are you making them? How much inventory do we have? Start at the bottom. So even if you're not somebody who has been with the company from the beginning and started at the bottom, you can start at the bottom by developing relationships. It's still a form of sweat equity, right? It's still a form of sweat equity. Provide an atmosphere of self-motivation. And this means that you're going to have to lay off the micromanagement. Give people the space. Give people the room and the flexibility. Give them the hours outside of work. Let them leave early. A lot of people value time more than money. Let them create on their own. Have deadlines. But that doesn't mean that they can't do some of their work or a lot of it outside of the office. Provide an atmosphere of self-motivation. That doesn't mean an atmosphere just in the office. It's part of the culture. It's part of the entire organization's how we do things, right? How we do things. Make sure that you define standards. Define the standards of your organization. What are they going to be? You want the highest quality, because if your output is good or less than that, you're a commodity. Define your standards as very high. If you're not high, you're going to be a commodity, meaning that people are going to look at your products or services as fungible, meaning that they will buy substitute products on a dime. Here's a good example. You're looking for gasoline. Some of us don't care whether it's Chevron or Exxon or Texaco or a convenience store. It's just the cheapest, right? It's just the cheapest. Which means that if someone is 1 cent cheaper across the street, that's where you're going, right? That's fungible. That's substitutable. That's a commodity. When you set the standards high, you get people that are only going to want your quality. They only want your chemistry. Define the standards. Get to know the names of the people in your organization very quickly. Get to know the names of your customers. More importantly, that is so very important to your, we'll say, je ne sais quoi. Je ne sais quoi is what makes you different. What makes your organization different is that you as a leader, you know everyone's names. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm terrible at names, but I work very, very hard at memorizing people's names, because naturally I am just absolutely terribly bad at names. So I have to concentrate every day on making sure that I know everyone's names. Everyone's name. My 3 tenets, the Chavez's 3 tenets to success. Begin with the end in mind. And here's the key to this. This is your vision. But you might not be able to see the end from the beginning. But begin with the end in mind in what you want. What is your end result? You don't necessarily know what it's going to look like specifically, but that doesn't mean that you can't start marching towards it. Understand, here's an example. When I created the world's first gnomes in culture, the Nombre, the Shalom Gnome, the Gnome Heart, the Ninja Gnome, the Om Gnome, I'm creating these gnomes specifically to get into animation and publication. That's the end. I don't know exactly how that's going to work out. I don't know if it's going to be a series of books or a series of movies, but when I created the Gnomes in Culture, it was with the intent, my vision was to get into animation and publication. Right now, we're still building towards that every single day. Every single day. So begin with the end in mind. Also understand that we're all in the people business. And there's not much I need to expand on that. We're all in the people business. Number 3, don't be in the penny profit business. Don't be in the penny profit business. No, the penny profit business is the volume game. That's not us. That's not us. We're not in the volume game. People want us to believe that, and they've indoctrinated us into believing that everyone is your customer. that it's a numbers game. The more people that you contact, the more sales you're going to get. No, no, no. That's wrong. Oh, it's a law of averages. No. We are in the game of making high quality profits, differentiating ourselves, and giving a premium price. We do not want to be in the commodity game, again, where we're fungible, we're easily substitutable. No, we have a niche. We are attacking the cult first. My gnomes cost at least $40 per gnome. At least $40 per gnome. You can buy a gnome, any gnome, at a local hardware store for $5 to $10. But to buy a differentiated gnome, a gnome with a sombrero, a gnome with a yarmulke, a gnome with a sword, right? A garden warrior like Gnome Heart. No, you have to pay $40. Don't be in the penny profit business. Don't be in the mass market. Eventually, you may get into more mass market products, but do not be in the penny profit business. I'm Senor Chavez, and now we're cooking with gas.